part of the thing is then when you understand how the body recovers, it's important to see that tapering is a big part of that. And like I spoke earlier about my friend who was a powerlifter and how it took him 3 weeks to recover from a 1 rep max. The less intense you do your sport, the less time you need to recover, and the less time you need before you can then repeat that or before you can deliver a best performance. So the longer the event, the shorter the taper should be. If you look at the history of ultra distance runners, the best runners used to do very, very little tapering at all, and some of them almost no tapering, because what they find is that when an ultra endurance athlete tapers, they become very fresh, and then what they do is they are able to push themselves harder than they normally do, and then because they push themselves harder than they normally do, they don't last in the event, and they burn out during the event. So pacing in the event is also a very important thing. Like if you're doing a 1 rep max, you need 100% of your muscle contractility. If you're doing an Ironman, you don't need 100% of your muscle contractility. You need a percentage of it, but you need to be able to keep that going for hours. So if you're too fresh for an Ironman, you're going to push yourself too hard, or your ability is going to be pushed too hard, and you're going to burn yourself out before the race is over. But not only that, if you're looking at tapering for an Ironman, or tapering for a marathon, or tapering for a sprint distance triathlon, that all those distances are different. So the requirements of the body are different, and so your taper needs to reflect the requirements of what you're going to be doing in the event. And so tapering is partly art, partly science. Everybody needs to find what works for them. Personally, for me, I find for an Ironman or a marathon, I need about 8 days of taper. And the shorter the distance, the more taper I need. I think for a sprint distance, for me, a 2-week taper is ideal. But again, it also depends on how much training you've done. If you've only done 2 weeks of training, if you do a 2-week taper, that's going to be too little training and too much taper, because the gains would have come quickly, but the gains you'll also lose them quickly. But then again, also if you look at endurance is something that comes very quickly, but it also gets lost very quickly, and that's also why the longer the event, the more limited you want your taper to be. So because you want to keep your endurance. Whereas with power, with speed, and with performance, it takes a long time to get those gains, and it takes a long time to lose them as well. But it also takes a long time to recover when you've pushed yourself. So when you think about tapering, when you think about recovering, when you think about what the distance is of the event or the physical requirements of the event that you're going to be doing, it's important to note how hard you're pushing that muscle. So the basic principles are, if you want to push the muscle hard, you need more recovery, you need more taper, you need more time for the body to prime itself. And the longer the event, the less time you need, because you don't want to lose your endurance, and you don't actually need that level of contractility. You don't need to be able to push a 1 rep max if you're racing an Ironman, but you do need to be able to do 50,000 repetitions of a specific movement on the bike, for example.